Have you ever met someone who seems kind, but maybe even a little too nice, like something about them just feels sort of off? Some behaviors that come across as thoughtful or generous can actually be signs of manipulation, control, or straight up evil intentions. Love bombing anyone? Now, it's important to remember that our world isn't an inherently bad place and people aren't innately evil, but there are things that can spark a manipulative, cruel nature in people. According to a 2023 study, personality disorders, adverse childhood events, and poor emotional regulation can all contribute to so-called evil behaviors, intentional deeds intended to hurt others. So what does this look like? Here are 11 behaviors that seem kind, but are actually signs of a kind of evil person. Let's break them down so you can spot them early, set boundaries, and protect your peace. Number 1, they praise you, but only when they need something. They'll compliment your work, your looks, your personality, any and everything they can, only to circle back later and weaponize that kindness to get something from you. Many people like this are transactional because they view you as someone they can manipulate to get what they want, and sometimes what they want is to hurt you for their own personal gain, or even just for entertainment and pleasure. They have no regard for your personal well-being, and their praise and kindness is a setup. Number 2, they actively listen in vulnerable conversations, then use it to blackmail you later. At first, it feels like they're a safe place to vent because they're all ears, nodding along, making you feel heard. They mimic empathetic behaviors, but their behavior is misleading. They lack empathy, and they do this to weaponize your trust. Later, the evil person will pull those exact same vulnerabilities out of their pocket and use them to guilt trip, blackmail, or shift blame. These people tend to want to maliciously hurt others, but sometimes they're not aware of their nature and will minimize, justify, and dismiss their actions, which makes it difficult and uncomfortable for others to acknowledge their emotional manipulation. Number 3, they shower you with gifts. Like I said before, love bomb alert, gifts can be sweet, and on the surface, gift giving is a form of bonding in many relationships. But when it feels over the top or too soon, it might be love bombing. They're not just being generous, they're trying to fast track your trust so you'll feel obligated later. They want to break down other people's emotional safeguards and boundaries with this behavior. And when it comes to love bombing, you have to listen to your gut. If your gut is telling you it's too much too soon or you constantly feel uneasy, you're likely noticing a pattern and a giant red flag. It may feel like an overreaction, but acting on red flags is the only way to truly protect yourself in the face of an evil person. Number 4, they protect you. Sounds nice, right? They just want what's best for you, right? But watch how they do it. If they're telling you who you can't trust, cutting you off from friends and family, or positioning themselves as your only ally, that's not protection, it's isolation. And it's one of the oldest manipulation tricks in the book. Not only does this encourage you to spend more time and get more vulnerable around them, it causes you to feel self-doubt, loneliness, hopelessness, and like you have to depend on them. And that makes you easier to take advantage of and control. Number 5, they defend people who don't deserve it. Ever notice someone going to bat for toxic people? Sometimes they're not being noble or playing devil's advocate. They're normalizing bad behavior so their own missteps don't look as bad. Some people will go to great lengths to defend and justify someone else's evil behavior as part of the playbook to enable their own. They tend to do this when other people are around to take notice of their understanding approach, but it's performative and manipulative empathy, not real kindness. Number 6, they're generous and selfless in public, but not in private. Oh look, more doing things for show. In front of a crowd, the evil person who wants to seem kind is volunteering, donating, playing the superhero. But behind closed doors, totally different story. Their public kindness becomes a disguise, so when someone does call them out, nobody will believe they're capable of doing something that bad and will take their side. It's image management, not genuine compassion. Number 7, they adopt a savior complex around people they've hurt. People with a savior complex are typically good-natured people with people-pleasing or insecure tendencies who put their own needs on hold for the sake of helping others. Their giving becomes detrimental to their own well-being. But evil people will often try on the savior complex and use it as a cover. They hurt you, manipulate you, and then swoop back in with a "don't worry, I'll help you through this." They're both the villain and the rescuer, creating a toxic cycle where you start depending on them to heal the very wounds they caused. And often their victims don't even realize what's happening. It seems like an act of kindness, helping someone overcome problems, but it's once again an attempt to wield control and manipulate trust in a relationship. Number 8, they try to keep the peace. Now, people who try to protect the peace or people please to help others feel comfortable, basically those people who will do anything to avoid conflict, aren't always evil-natured at heart, but many bad people will take on this peacekeeper persona to try to conceal their insidious intentions. On the surface, it may look like conflict resolution, but often it's just silencing the other person. By avoiding tough conversations, forgiving too quickly, or offering perspective as a way to explain away wrongdoing, they do tend to keep things calm, but it's only to hide their own behavior and keep their victim in a state of anxiety, fear, or self-doubt. Number 9, they don't always resort to anger during arguments. You might think of having a sense of calmness and quiet during a conflict as a kind and refreshing alternative to, say, defensiveness and aggression, but it's often the opposite. For the evil among us, the reason they're not blowing up is because they're plotting. They'll sit in silence, looking composed, all while planning revenge, sabotage, or the perfect way to undermine you later. It's manipulation disguised as patience. They prefer to play the long game and sabotage a person's well-being when they least expect it. Number 10, they apologize for white lies. A common trait of a truly evil person is their willingness to lie about everything, from small little fibs to larger acts of betrayal and deceit. Pathological liars feel no regret and continue to lie even after they've been caught. At first, the evil person's apologies feel honest. Oh, sorry, I lied about that tiny thing. But those small confessions are really just distractions. They're a way to build false trust while their much bigger lies stay hidden. If someone is always apologizing for little stuff, pay attention, because there may be a whole giant cache of hidden betrayals just below the surface. And finally, number 11, they have charisma around others. Charm is the evil person's camouflage. It's not uncommon for narcissistic or psychopathic individuals to be very charismatic, knowing how to butter up and appease and manipulate other people for the sake of their own agenda. This charm can even lead them to be more successful in the workplace, for example, and it allows them to get away with a lot more misbehavior. Around coworkers, friends, strangers, they're magnetic. But in private, this person is often cold, manipulative, and even cruel. That dual narrative isn't an accident, it's a carefully calculated strategy. If you call them out, they've already stacked the deck so people side with them. It's subtle strategic planning, ensuring they are always one step ahead. The bottom line is that kindness without consistency isn't kindness, it's manipulation. And if you've spotted these behaviors in someone you know, trust your gut, set your boundaries, and protect your peace. Because real kindness doesn't come with strings attached.